Hey everyone, welcome back for some reaction content here. I know that, I tend to do a little bit more focus on World of Warcraft usually. And we're going to continue that trend right now, but basically there's a video that came out by Bellular Warcraft. If you haven't heard of Bellular Warcraft, they're a pretty big channel that tends to focus on a lot of WoW content, retail, SOD, Cataclysm, all kinds of WoW. They've been doing content for forever and they're an awesome channel to follow. I get a lot of information from them. They cover shit pretty quickly. So there's one that came out that they had an interview with Holly Longdale, who is the vice president and executive producer of World of Warcraft, right? So she works directly with Ian, and she's a really big force of World of Warcraft. She's a lot of the decision making, and she's a big reason why Dragonflight is so good. And so I think that what this video will entail, this interview with her, is gonna get a closer look to see how she functions. The video is called How World of Warcraft is Now Different. So basically her perspective, what she's trying to do, and I think it'll give us a good idea of what's coming up next, what to expect, and kind of what direction World of Warcraft is going, right? So with that being said, let's go ahead and jump into the video. Jump right into it.
Welcome back. Today it's actually quite exciting. I caught up with Holly Longdale, who is the executive producer of World of Warcraft, at a press event, and now that she's essentially running the show, rather than get into the sort of small details of Alpha, I actually wanted to go big picture. What's different with World of Warcraft? How has the team changed? How has World of Warcraft developed? What does Holly do? How does the team run? And it's pretty damn cool. We get into some plans for even beyond the War Within, some fundamental things that Holly thinks the game...
One thing that I will say, and I think he just touched base on this too, like, it is really cool to understand how things work so we know the intricacies of what things have to, like, of what the process has to follow. And also it's just good for us to know as a consumer, that's someone that pays subs to this, to play World of Warcraft, how they go about the decision making, what the team structure is like. That way we have a little bit of understanding instead of just kind of being, in the dark about a lot of things. And I feel like that's where them opening up, and I feel like Blizzard has done this really well the past year or so, kind of end of Shadowlands, going into Dragonflight, being really open with the community, taking back inputs, asking for questions, for feedback, all those kind of things. They've done a really good job about that recently. And the best example is like Season of Discovery, right? All that is a lot of community feedback, right? And I know that retail is kind of working on the same side of it too, but just wanted to touch base on that.
Has struggled with in the past and in the recent past, and how she wants to fix that sort of thing. So it's a really fun interview, and I guess with that said, let's start by getting into just what Holly actually does when she goes to work.
It's funny how, I feel like the executive producer job is unique at every studio. There is a lot that happens from day to day, from what's our long range strategy? Like, what is the plan? And that's me gathering, Ian, Frank, who's our technical director, our production director, he's the one that really is the specialist on moving the widgets around. And I have the fortune of relying on all of them when we come up with this strategy, that we get this alignment. Can we actually do it? And then part of it is, I feel like Ian's going to have great regrets about me saying this, but, I lean on, for many obvious self-explanatory reasons, I really rely on Ian as my partner. But I'm also the final arbiter if there's disagreement.
Dude, final arbiter is kind of wild to call yourself. That's kind of tough.
I felt Ian's pain in that moment. I'm joking. He's one of the most gracious people I've ever worked with, as are all of my directors. So we have this really... She
cracks the whip. That's funny.
Team, and I'm relatively new. And they've been incredibly gracious and very supportive of me. We get along very well, and we see the game very similarly. That it's our time now to evolve. It's our time to look at the future of WoW, and very meaningfully, beyond, no offense to our PR folks, it's not a PR statement to say that we are aiming for the next 20, 30 years, because this game is
50
so
years
vibrant and has so many players. We would never abandon it. It wouldn't make any sense. And I think you know that. So there's that side. There's the giant strategy side. We've grown the team. And within the strategy, we've got this live team now. We've got the team that's doing the War Within. We've got a team working on Midnight. And we also have people working on The Last Titan and Classic. And frankly, Warcraft 3 Reforged and the RTS side of the business, which all falls under my my umbrella.
Are they doing something with Warcraft 3? I didn't realize that they were. Unless they're just saying that they just keep updating it, then okay.
So I rely on a lot of incredibly talented people to help put this puzzle together in a way that's healthy for the team.
Sorry, I keep pausing, but one thing I want to point out is this feels very high end as far as like interview goes, like the quality of it. Because usually when we have like any sort of like interview with a producer, director, or whatever it is, right? Like it's usually done through Zoom calls and it's always like kind of shitty quality. It's a little bit of delay, stuff like that, right? You can tell that World of Warcraft really wanted this to happen, especially with someone like Bellular, who has a pretty big influence and outreach to a lot of content and a lot of people that watches content. So it's really cool that they took the time to like set this up and like have it be like professionally made and shot well, right? I think that says a lot. That goes a long way to show like this is important for them, which I think is cool because again, circles back to the whole idea that like they're willing to work with us, they're willing to be open with us and give us the attention that as consumers that we want.
And I'm sure you can imagine for the past year and a half as we grew into this 8-week patch cadence with, you add that to the mix. That is expansion and live team threading together. We've created this complex recipe for how we get content to the audience. And from a day-to-day basis, from the team as it's grown a lot. If you look at, BFA days, it's significantly larger because we're doing quite a bit more. We want to invest in Classic, and we've started that too, and that's probably apparent by the number of things we've been doing.
Yeah,
with the
100%.
Classic team. So I'm sort of a juggler at the high level, and then part of that too is making sure that, as Johanna's come in as the president, and even before her with Mike, making sure they're informed. So John.
1 second, guys. Lay down. Lay down. Lay down. Lay down. Lay down. Lay down. Fine. Stop. All right. 3, 2, 1.
Right.
Sorry about that, guys. I had to stop the video real quick. My dog started barking at another dog, but let's go ahead and continue.
Obviously, my boss and an incredible partner, making sure that I'm supported and that he's aware of all the myriad things we're doing. And then it's the human side. It's my role to make sure that the team, as best we can, understands all the nuance and where we need to go and what's our vision and what's our mission. Making sure we have communication plans around that. I mean, it's everything you could imagine and more. Reviewing, let me tell you, this is one of the things I love about my job. There's many things. Motivating people, morale, it's been challenging. But the team is endlessly passionate and really invigorated by the reaction.
I'm glad that she said that because that is a thing that we all speculate that morale is probably really shitty based on all the negative feedback that WoW's gotten recently. And I'm glad that she mentioned that because it is probably a challenge that they're facing a lot,
Action from the community with what we've been doing. But I get to see the early versions of the cinematics and make sure that they're good to go. And I've seen, they're so good.
That's awesome.
That's one of the things I love. I get to work with Metzen,
that's our boy.
So it is day-to-day meetings from 9 to whenever, but is the greatest joy of my life. I've never done anything more rewarding. I've I've worked with a lot of talented people in my time, but this is like taking it to 11. Yeah.
I love
It's a
that.
lot. It's a lot. I'm very lucky, and I get to talk to you. I get to work with the community, and I'm super excited by that too. But yeah, you have to be cool with multitasking.
Seems wholesome,
Yeah,
man.
and shifting and context shifting a lot. Sometimes there were times I would be in a classic meeting and reference the modern game and vice versa, because you just sometimes when you get close to ship, you know, you've got people to help you along the way, you know? Yeah. Yes, expect them. Um, so,
That's it. Can we expect more experiments? I'm assuming this is something like SOD, Plunder Storm, Mod Remix. I'm assuming it means something like that, or I'm pretty confident that's what it means.
and there's a few reasons. So, Plunderstorm.
Okay, I was right.
In that effort, I'll full transparency. We knew a bunch of, WoW's doing a BR. Okay, we knew that was going to be part of it, and a lot of people were not going to love it, but we had pretty high confidence that a lot of people would, because our PvP audience have been a bit, waving, at us for
Yes.
some time.
Yes.
And we set ourselves some goals. Like, this is novelty. This isn't for the hardcore of the hardcore. This was something people could participate in. We wanted to see what this level of novelty and charm in a very World of Warcraft way, how it would go over. So we set ourselves some goals just to measure against what our expectations were, and it outperformed those. So we're like,
Good.
check. That's great.
Yeah.
The team, of course, they're like, let's do, when are we going to bring it out again? And, let's plan for the next round. And then it's like, let's take a breath. We've got Remix coming for Miss Pandaria.
Uh-huh.
We're really excited just from the response from that. It was an immediate, it didn't have the same divisiveness or points of view that Plunderstorm did, we'll say. It seems to be broadly accepted.
Yeah.
And we're going to see how that goes. And I'm sure you can understand, with each one of these, we learn a little bit more. There's mechanics that we have in there. We can look at the behavior of players, and we set ourselves goals. What do we think this is going to do? Mm-hmm. Who do we think this is actually for? Because now that we've broken our player base down from our data through observing behavior, we can identify different segments of our players, which is why you're seeing delves. It's why you're seeing warbands. We can see that, for lack of a better term, our mid and casual players, they've been underserved, which is Dragonflight was our first attempt to really target them. And
it is funny.
Want to
hear mid players.
We can do a better job with those players. I think we would always be humble and say we can do a better job for every segment, but we're always going to deliver what our current players expect of us, but we want to really push. So Remix is one of those, Plunderstorm is one of those, and if we come on something that is just an absolute hit, of course you'll see another version if the players want it. That's what drives us. But you're familiar with Jeremy Fiesel, who's running the live team. And when when I talk to him and say, like, Jeremy, you and your team, go wackadoo. This is the space where we get to explore novelty and fun and whimsy. And the ideas that they've got.
His hair's crazy. I love it.
They are that. It's exciting. Yeah. But this is also a journey for this team, which was, it was a single unit that did everything. And I'm sure you can appreciate it's not healthy for a team to do that level of context switching. So when we say to the live team, your job is the heartbeat. You're the heartbeat of the live game. Your job is to make the world feel alive and retain players. All of our segments, like, look for opportunities.
Nice.
And so it took until probably midway through last year to really see that come to life and to really see it work. We had time running all of that, and now they're building upon that. So they get to focus on those goals, and the expansion focuses on the goals you would expect for the expansions. So the features and everything's evergreen, and I will say we know what the feature set will be for the next one. We already know that. They're already working on it. don't ask too many questions. And then
Damn.
we're really thinking
I
about
thought we were about to get a little
connective
tease.
tissue between them all, so that everything feels cohesive. The direction we're going in makes sense. We set lofty goals for ourselves. We want WoW to be stable in the future, expand in the future, be inventive. We want to stay ahead. We want to stay ahead of the industry as well. So more is not always better, in the sense.
The other I didn't see, it says, what lessons have the team learned? Right. So this is a good question, because obviously there's a lot of backlash all the time about World of Warcraft, especially from the community to the dev team.
So more is not always better, in the sense that when we knew, okay, 8-week patches, right? When you make that as a statement, 8-week patches, each patch is not the same as, they're not equitable necessarily. They're also not received the same way. So 10.2.5 didn't have a lot of staying power the same way 10.1.5 did. So there's a journey here where there was a couple of patches we did that just had a disconnected set of additions. You might have heritage quests, so like it's a bit of this and a bit of that. And one of the problems we face is when we do those kinds of things is discoverability. So now that we know that, okay, well now we need a plan for that in the future, and the team does have ideas on how do we improve discoverability in the game. So when I say more isn't better, it's that problem. We don't want people to feel, we don't want them to either miss out on something they would be interested in, which is when we talk about looking at our data and getting a good understanding of our player segments. We should be able to deliver to you the kind of content you want to play, like most technology does these days. So we're looking pretty broadly.
So how is the team improving content discoverability, which is a follow-up to exactly what you just said?
On discoverability, I'm sure you can imagine there's a lot of ways we could go. But I know on the live team, I'm not sure if you're familiar with Evan Lee. He's a lead on the team. But there's several ideas on how we get an understanding of the content you do regularly in the game, prioritize, some of the things we may want to surface that you may be interested in doing, particularly, based on logins. So if you are a returning player, there may be some things we think are pivotal for you to take part in. And that's part of, we don't have that ready for War Within, but it's certainly it's on their roadmap.
Okay.
I'm not sure when that will come, but there's some really intelligent ways to approach that. If you're returning after a long while, how on earth do you get to know what has been happening in this game? Like even if you dropped out in BFA or you decided to take a break at WAD.
Trying to get my job ready as well.
Right. So the team now is talking about, and Maria as well, how do we package our narrative into something that's not just, okay, go ahead and sit through X hours of cinematics, but how do we piece together an experience that tells our history in a consumable way? So we're looking at, because frankly, we're going to drive as best we can to bring as many people back into our game as possible. Not just now, in the future. We're going to keep driving, make this game, shout from the rooftops that we're super awesome. We're going to be chasing, the best experience, the highest fantasy, the most immersion. And there's some really, really great ideas. But if we don't smooth out these bumps for new players, I think we're going to take a look at what we're doing for new players as well. So it is a journey. And also, where are people playing? How do we meet them where they are? Like what platforms, what devices? And I'm not announcing anything.
That was my first time. I was like, oh shit, are they mentioning like mobile? And then I don't think mobile would ever work. Well, actually, mobile could work in a sense of like a, I know that's already working for like Steam Deck and stuff like that, but like consoles and stuff like that, right? Um, but yeah, it's a, what she's saying basically is they're trying to develop data that's able to read into logins that's gonna give them a better idea of like, yo, like I'm a consistent sub payer, right? I log in every month. I play like every day, whatever it is, right? What do I usually do? I usually queue up for BGs. I go do content, world quest, stuff like that, right? So like for me, those kind of players that are reoccurring players that pay subs that are coming in every single day, you are going to build around those things that they do, right? But for example, and I know that WoW has this problem, is a whole like barrier to entry. Is if someone were to log in like a year, sorry, that hasn't played in a year, right? It's super overwhelming to know what has happened in the lore. Like, what are they gonna do first? Where are they going when they first, log in? Are they searching their quest logs? Are they going to, to the main cities, or what are they doing, right? Because if that's the case, let's say like everyone's like, hey, you know what? Like, I'm gonna restart and go to Stormwind, right? And in that situation, what the team could start doing is like, okay, for anyone who's been logged in for like 6 or so months, we're seeing that everyone parts to their main city, right? To their original main city, because that's probably what they're most familiar with. So what can we do there to have them get back into the World of Warcraft, catch up on the lore, not feel bombarded by all the stuff that they've missed, lore, patches, features, things like that, right? And that gives them a better idea to be like, okay, here's what we can do for these kind of players. Here's what we can do for the players that log in every week, and kind of make sure that they're able to, like she said beforehand, really help not only like the hardcore, like sweaties of World of Warcraft, but the casual players, the mid players, the people who logged in every now and then, stuff like that, right? Because you want to be able to appeal the whole crowd, right? You don't want to listen to the silent majority, sorry, to the loud minority, is what I meant to say. As far as like all the people that are bitching about it are usually just like rank 1 PvPers or high content people who like play this game for a living, right? Like you have a lot of people who like don't really buy into that noise. They just want to play a fun game, right? And that's the reality of it. And so I think that's what she's trying to get at. That like, I'm assuming they're talking about AI will help determine that kind of stuff.
But these are all the things on our mind as we look at our UX and we look at our UI and how easy and consumable is our game for the different, player segments that are out there that feel like a good fit for us. Super long answer.
Let's see.
Yeah.
So there we have it. I mean, man, the scoops. Lore catch up in game, new player experience changes being planned, them trying to avoid the bits of Dragonflight's patch cycle that didn't work as well, us learning how Team 2 is actually split up. And yeah, I mean, I really went into that interview wanting, I suppose, insight, a little bit of like her perspective to sort of understand how the game is actually being made. It's certainly fun with the experiments, that we can kind of expect more of them, and that the team is basically just got an actual ability to, I mean, a small subset, I suppose, of the team has this ability to just do cool shit. Mr. Pandaria Remix, of course, is an example of that, and just from us playing it on the PTR during its test weekend, man, it is really good. So it does make me excited about the sorts of things that I guess on all levels they're going to be cooking up. Anyway, let me know what you thought, and if I do get another interview with Holly in the future, let me know what sorts of questions that you would have for her based on this interview. So that's it for me. Of course, we'll be back in the channel with a video tomorrow, so thanks for tuning in, and I'll see you then.
Awesome video, dude. Awesome video. So let's see some of the comments just to see what people are saying. But like, yeah, this is basically why I wanted to watch this, because she just seems like a great addition to the team, right? So, like, I agree that she has been one of the better things that has happened to WoW in a long time, because I think that she has the right mindset when it comes to what can we do to make World of Warcraft better? What can we do to make World of Warcraft more accessible? And hold on, let me go back. All right, I'm gonna start from here because I don't want anyone seeing my folder. Great video. like I was saying here before, like the main idea why I wanted to watch this video is because you can see Holly here is such a great addition to the team, and I 100% agree with that. I think that she has the right mindset when it comes to the direction of the game that she wants, the inclusivity of all types of players within World of Warcraft, and then also taking it to the right direction and making sure World of Warcraft feels like that rich lore that it has, right? That history of like 20 plus or about to be 20 years of World of Warcraft, 30 years of Blizzard, like so much of like people my age, people a little bit older than me, newer players that are coming in, like that's been a part of their lives. I've been playing this fucking game for like, I don't even know. What is it now? Like 15 years probably? No, probably closer to like 17 years. Because I started like towards the end of vanilla into BC, right? So like this is a big part of my life. Like I love this game. And it was really hard for the dip of World of Warcraft that it took, especially when Bobby Kotick and all that kind of stuff was going on, with the cube crawls and all that disgusting bullshit. For it to bounce back for something that devastating, like it's pretty tough, and to take over something like that. I know there was a couple people in between, like Mike Ibarra and other stuff like that, that helped kind of push it along. But like, I really think that she is taking it to the right direction and doing all the right things with all the right mindsets, which I love about that, right? So just thought it was important because this gives us kind of hope that World of Warcraft is in good hands, you know, all aspects of it, not just retail, classic, SOD, any kind of projects too, right? So just wanted to share that with y'all. I thought that was a really cool interview that I saw, and I was like, you know what, like I think people need to be exposed to this, because it just gives us an idea of, you know, who's taking care of our game, right? So but I appreciate you guys watching the video. Like, subscribe to the YouTube channel. I am also on Twitch. I'll have my Twitch handle up here. But basically, I go live every day that I can. Play a lot of different games, mostly World of Warcraft, but I've been playing a lot of like scary games like the Backrooms that I have a series on here as well. Starting to play some Diablo, some random games here and there, but mainly World of Warcraft. And thank you guys for watching. I will catch you on the next one. Peace.